Hello, Michelle here and welcome to another Bloom in 5 video. As you can see, I've already sketched out the apples that we're doing today, and I have created a sketch for a Golden Delicious, a Granny Smith, a Cox apple, Fuji apple and Royal Gala. And this is a super fun exercise. I absolutely love painting fruit and vegetables and anything like that. So as you can see, we're starting off with a super pretty lemon yellow, and we're just filling that in with a little bit of a darker colour with the lemon yellow as well, using a bit of raw sienna. And we're just laying down the first layers initially and adding a little bit of a limey green there with a mix, and that's going to be for our Granny Smith base. All of the colours, the sketches, including me actually creating the sketches, the brushes used, everything you need basically to recreate this is all on my Patreon. I have a paid membership and a free membership. On the free membership you have access to poll voting every month, behind the scenes, and also palette suggestions, which are super exciting for the different seasons, and palette mixes that I include on there as well. So don't forget to check that out. The link is in my bio, and you can also or you can just visit patreon.com/Bloomella. So as you can see, we're moving on to our next and third apple, which is a Cox apple. So you can use some really pretty crimson, some really nice field orange mixes as well to help with that colour mix. And we're just using it around the edge there, as you can see, and just bringing that colour down and really building up those layers. You can see on the right hand side I also have my little handy notebook where I've got all of the names written down, and I'm also going to add all of the colour mixes again, which will be included on Patreon, and that's how I do it, so I can make a note of which colours I'm using. This is a Winsor & Newton palette, so all of the colours will be Winsor & Newton. So as you can see, we've moved on to our Fuji apple. Just laid down the base, have a little bit of exposed lemon yellow there, and I'm adding in some really pretty like crimson mixes onto the top using a wet and wet technique to really help build that colour, and just adding a little bit of yellow to our Royal Gala in the corner and just building up that colour and just laying all these first layers down. This is what I love about creating more than one item on the page, is I can really allow for the first layers to dry and can build up the layers on the other items while those are drying, and it really helps me to create the different wet on wet techniques as needed, and then again allow these to dry and then move back over them all again to start again and build all the layers up. So it's great fun, and like I said, I love painting fruit because it's a really good, it's quite a simple exercise, but you can make it super complex if you want to, really adding highlights, some really nice form, some contrast, and yeah, everything in between. So as you can see, we're already moving back onto our Golden Delicious, and we're adding a little bit more of that raw sienna and probably like an Indian red type mix, and we're just painting that down and still leaving a little highlight shine as well, and adding that darkness to the top around the stalk area. And moving on to our Golden Delicious. Sorry, you can see a lot of gesticulating as I'm talking this all through on my full real-time version video. This is obviously a sped up quick version with voiceover, and we're moving on to our Golden Delicious here. So again, we're just painting that colour up and round and just adding some more to our palette there, some more colour, and just allowing for the highlight to show through by painting around it at the top. And we're also going to add the stalks later as well, and we're just adding a bit more of that colour and a little bit more of a reddy brown mix here going on for our third apple, which is the Cox. So just painting that round. So these are all painted from reference images, which again I do include on the Patreon, but it is also a fun exercise to paint in real life. If you have an apple in your fruit bowl or an orange or banana, painting anything like that from real life is also super fun. So don't worry if you can't find any reference images online that you really like, you could always give it a go with real fruit as well. So as you can see with our Fuji apple, we're leaving some of that second layer exposed, and we're just painting around that to leave a little bit of a highlight area, and then helping to build that form with the indent where it meets the stalk in the middle. And we're also lifting a little bit of the paint in areas as well to really help create that highlight. I've also got this really pretty mix, colour mix going on as well, and you can see we're really adding that around the edges to help create that form. And we've already got some super pretty colour mixes going on with that one. I'm absolutely obsessed with that Fuji one. I think it's coming together really, really nicely. And then we're moving on to our Royal Gala apple, and again moving on to more of sort of an orangey red mix here for the Gala as well, and leaving that yellow exposed at the bottom there. And now I'm just creating some more of that dark colour to add on at the top, and you can see that's bleeding together so prettily, and we're leaving some of the area exposed. And again, I'm just talking it through and pointing to various points of highlight and just talking about the brushes that I'm using as well. And I'm creating a bit more of that yellow mix. As you can see, we're already back to our Golden Delicious, and you can see we're starting on the stalk. So just from this video alone, you can see how many layers it takes to build up the sort of definition that we're trying to get from this study alone, and how much detail you can actually put into creating apples. So if you think about apples just in itself, you might think, oh, that's quite flat and boring, but actually there's a lot of technique that you can use. Like I mentioned, highlight, contrast in colours, like expose different colours within the apple, the detail and textures in the skin, and also how the stalk is featured at the top. So all of these techniques can really help and play into other items that you create, whether that's flowers or any other type of fruit and vegetables, or even scenery and various things like that you may want to apply those techniques to. So we're moving into our little stalk era and using these really pretty sort of browns, warm browns, to really help create those stalks on each one, and also adding a little bit more to the darker areas, especially at the top if those other areas have dried, and just adding in a little bit more colour with washes as well. And that really helps, using those darker and varied colours to help create that light and dark variation to help create the form of the apples. And you can see we're just mixing together some more pretty warm browns and just adding in that stalk for our Cox apple, and mixing together some darker colours as well for that top section of where it meets the stalk, and just bringing that round as well. And we're leaving an exposed highlight here as well. You'll have to let me know in the comments below if you like apples and what's your favourite apple, and if you've painted any apples as well. I have great memories as a child going to our neighbour's garden and climbing the trees and sort of picking lots of fruit off the trees as well, collecting like baskets of apples, and just great memories really. The sun shining, just having fun as a child, which is obviously a long time ago now, but great memories. So yeah, if you have any great memories of picking apples or eating apples or anything like that, then don't forget to comment below. I would love to hear. So I'm just adding some bit more detail to that Cox apple, and as you can see, we're just using various techniques, stippling, lines, and just general washes to create that really pretty skin texture. I really love the colour palette on this one, on the Cox apple. I love like coral tones, peachy tones, sort of orange bases, and you can see that really has a lot of those going on, and that really rich jewel tone as well on the Fuji apple is just one of my favourites. I love jewel tones, and that can really come across in this type of apple, opposed to the Golden Delicious that's a little bit sort of solo colour. It's a little bit flat. Even with the techniques that we've used, I really love the high texture of the Fuji apple and the Cox. That's definitely more my cup of tea, and that's the great thing with these painting exercises, that it can really emphasize things that you like about painting and some subject matters that you don't like painting, so it really helps with that as well. So as you can see, we're just learning the techniques of how to create round the stalk and how to create that depth and almost create that inward area where the stalk is, and just adding a lot of that depth and shadow texture. So you can see from our initial layer, we have really built up a lot of colour and a lot of texture, and it almost looks like a perfect dark shine on that left hand side, which is created with the colour mixes that we've created in the session. And then we're adding our stalk as well for our Fuji apple. You'll have to let me know in the comments as well which apple is your favourite at the end, which one you want to recreate if you do, and if you do give it a go, don't forget you can always tag me over on social media. My handle is @BlueMella for Instagram, or @BlueMella Studio on TikTok, so I'm on there daily and would love to see any of your versions, so feel free to tag me. And we're just adding a little bit more to our Gala apple. Again, some really pretty orange colours going on here, some really pretty orange mixes. And we've got this yellow exposed area at the bottom, and also some yellow that peeks through on the apple itself. And as you can see, we're just trying to paint round those pretty yellow colours underneath to create that exposed area, and just using some line techniques and some pressure on the brush just to create those pretty lines and filled in areas around the top of the apple. And adding the stalk in as well. Obviously we need to remember the stalk. Some of the stalks were sort of more thicker and bulbous, and some of them were more thin as well. This helps like to learn, you know, which ones you can use and the technique, and you can always mix and match your images as well. If you have a couple of images of Golden Delicious but you like the stalk on one and the body on the other, I often do that as well, if you want to create sort of a mix and match for images. And again, we're back to the Golden Delicious already, and adding in a little bit more of that depth at the top to create that indent where the stalk attaches to the top of the apple. Just be careful with some of your bleeds where the stalk meets the top of the apple. If the apple is still wet, then your stalk colour will bleed into your apple, so just be a little bit careful of that. And that's why I left it until it was probably about the third layer before I started to go back over and add the stalks. So you can just keep that in mind. So with our Golden Delicious, I really just wanted to bring a little bit more of that greeny yellow in, so I did a quick wash, and while it was wet, added a bit more of that contrast on the bottom right hand side, and I've just used a bit of a lifting technique as well to help create that depth at the top. Then moving back onto our cocks again, as you can see, we must be on the 5th or 6th layer now. We're creating a lot of that technique with the skin and bringing that round with that really pretty deep red, and also just creating that in-depth area at the top that we've spoken about, blurring that round and helping create that highlight at the top, adding a few little textures as we go along as well, and really building that up, adding a bit more yellow to that Fuji apple on that highlight, and adding a little bit more detail to the stalk as well to help create that contrast and that form of the stalk. So as you can see, we're nearly finished with all of the apples now. We're just adding our final little touches and details. So on the Royal Gala, we're just adding a little bit of that dark colour over the top, like a little bit of an overlay, and that really helps highlight those darker areas and those lighter areas a little bit more to the stalk as well. So I really hope you enjoyed painting these 5 apples with me. I have lots of these videos on YouTube now already. I only started this year, but I do them every single Monday. So don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see more of these. I do lots of different subjects. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget you can join me on bluemella.art and also on Patreon. Links are in my bio. Thank you so much.